welcome back to Kim Reads as we continue with Meet Kaya. Chapter 4, Rescued from the River. Kaya drove steps high forward. She jumped over the bushes and reined in her sharply, her hooves plowing the ground. Speaking Rain was struggling in deep water trying to swim ashore. As she thrashed, a branch plunged down the swift current and hit her. She went under. When she came up again, she was being pulled downstream in the powerful surge by the river. Fear struck through a lightning flash. If Speaking Rain wasn't pulled from the river, she'd drown. If Kaya tried to swim after her, they would both drown. To save Speaking Rain, Kaya's only hope was to run her horse along the bank, trying to get ahead of Speaking Rain and ride into the river to catch her. Kaya gave her horse her head, then kicked her. Then Steps High burst forward. In a few strides, she was at a full gallop. Kaya leaned over her neck, clasping her horse with her knees. What if another piece of riverbank gave away? What if her horse bucked? Steps High lengthened out and tore around the next bend, then the next. She seemed as swift as a hawk diving from the sky. Now they were ahead of Speaking Rain, who flailed in the turning river. From here, Kaya had to get her horse into the water and then swim upstream to meet Speaking Rain as she was swept down. Would Steps High obey Kaya's command to swim? Kaya dug her heels into her horse's side and then again urged her forward. Steps High crossed the beach but paused at the edge of the water. Come on, girl, Kaya said, giving her another kick. Then Kaya felt Steps High become one with her again. The horse moved onto the icy current until she was swimming. Kaya angled her horse upstream. She held tightly to Steps High mane to keep her balance against the swirling currents. She'd always have to catch Speaking Rain as soon as she came within reach, or else Speaking Rain would be swept under the horse's sharp hooves. In another moment, Speaking Rain was upon her. Kaya reached and grasped and caught her arm. She had her. She pulled and dragged Speaking Rain over the horse's withers. Holding Speaking Rain tightly, Kaya turned her horse downstream. She felt Steps High gather herself. The horse's strokes evened as she calmed, but Speaking Rain was limp against Kaya. Was she still breathing? Kaya headed Steps High towards shore. In a few more strokes, her horse's hooves touched bottom. Steps High head came up and she climbed onto the sandy beach. She shook her head and practiced a step or two as she were doing something to be proud of. Kaya slid off her horse and caught Speaking Rain as her sister slipped down into her arms. Speaking Rain lifted her head, moaned, and began to cough up water. You're safe, Speaking Rain, Kaya said against her drenched head. You're safe. Tota appeared on the bank above them. He was followed by the other fishermen and then by Foxtail. Tota leaped down to the sand. He took Speaking Rain into his arms, bent her forward, and slapped her back with his cupped hand to force more water out of her. Kaya's teeth were chattering. Speaking Rain, can you get your breath? She asked. Speaking Rain said. I heard you shout and I ran, Tota said. I saw what happened. You did well, Kaya. Your horse did well, too. Steps High knew Speaking Rain needed us, Kaya said. She did everything I asked of her. She did what you asked because she trusts you, Tota said. You've earned her trust. Remember that. Foxtail crouched on the bank. Was that a look of admiration in his eyes? You told me you couldn't race, he said, but you were racing like wildfire, Kaya. Kaya wasn't racing to be fastest, Tota corrected him. She was racing to save Speaking Rain's life. Tota's words lifted Kaya's heart. He knew she hadn't acted for herself, but for Speaking Rain, and Foxtail had called her Kaya, not Magpie. Kaya closed her eyes, pressed her face against Steps High's warm neck, and felt the powerful pulse beating there. Katsi yow yow, my horse, she whispered gratefully, and then she held the bridle so that Tota could lift Speaking Rain's onto Steps High's backs, and they could take her back to the camp. The horses needed fresh grass before they could begin the journey into the higher mountains. Kaya rode with Raven, Foxtail, and some older boys and girls to herd the horses to new pasture. As Kaya rode, she stepped up at a small peak. She knew the story of how the mountain came to be. An old chief had a vision. His vision had told him that men with pale faces would come stealing the shining rocks scattered there. To protect their shining rocks, the people began gathering them into a pile and built the mountain over them to hide them. Their treasure was saved because of the old chief's vision. Kaya thought if she had lived in those days, she'd have helped build the mountain over the shining rocks. After all, her name, Kaya Antanami, meant she who arranges rocks. Her mother gave her that name because the first thing she saw after Kaya's birth was a woman arranging rocks to heat a sweat lodge. Will one of us be given a vision someday? Kaya wondered. Will I? She knew that one day soon, like all other boys and girls, she would go on her vision quest. Will I be ready when that time comes? She thought. When she went to the mountains on her quest, Kaya would seek her Waiakin. If her Waiakin came to her, she would also receive special powers. Would the hawk give her ability to see far? Would the canyon wren give her the power to defend her family, the way a wren drives off rattlesnakes? What creature will my Waiakin be? Kaya wondered. She hoped it would give her powers and a vision to help Nimipu, like the old chief in the story. Foxtail rode past, his big roan kicking up a cloud of dust. Foxtail's too much of a rascal to be a leader of our people, Kaya thought, but maybe the old chief, whose vision had saved the shining mountain, had once been a bothersome boy like Foxtail. Kaya reminded herself to think of the work of the day and to do her job well. A frisky young stallion bolted out of the herd and passed behind Kaya and her horse. Immediately, she swung Steps High around, dug into her heels, and galloped after the runner away. Steps High knew her job too. In a burst of speed, she caught up the frisky horse and drove him back into the herds again. Tots, Kaya said and patted Steps High's shoulder. Tots, my beautiful horse. And that is the end of the first story, Meet Kaya. The next one will be Kaya's Escape. See you later.